I'm Joji, and today is Saturday, June 23. This is my knitting journal, and I think we are on to journal number 16. I'm very happy to see you again. I'm feeling rather tired today. It's been a long day. So this morning we went to visit one of my cousin's new baby niece that I had been knitting and sewing for. If you watched previous journals, you probably heard about this baby. And then I had to go to the shopping mall with my two boys because my eldest he's almost 12 now. He's 11 years old, and he has grown quite a bit in the last couple of weeks, I would say, not even months. So nothing fits anymore, and he needed everything. He needed jogging pants and a pair of jeans and a shirt because we have an event tomorrow, and sneakers, and it was very tiring, and my kids don't enjoy that. And so I'm basically just dragging them and making them try things so that we buy the correct size. It was exhausting, and I remember a time when I was younger when I used to love going to the mall, and I could spend hours there just looking at the clothes. I couldn't afford to buy anything, but for some reason I kept just looking around, and I could spend there hours. And today the three of us were basically ready to come home. The minute we walked into the mall, we were ready to come back home. So that was my Saturday. Now it's almost 5 p.m., so it will become dark again like last episode, but you guys let me know that it was okay, that the light was okay, so I allowed myself to record during this time. So, sorry, that's why I have a kind of a tired face, and I can feel myself like all my energy was left behind at that shopping mall. Anyway, it's been over a week since the last time we saw each other. I hope you are not watching both episodes one after the other one, because in that episode I was wearing all the makeup and I was all pretty, and today I look tired and I have my hair up, and anyway, you will think I'm a bit ill today, but I'm just a bit tired. It's been a long week, and I have a lot to share with you since then. So last time I recorded, I told you that I was going to live on a road trip. We were going to go to Uruguay last weekend. I had to teach at a great show that I'm going to tell you more about, and my family was coming with me. So Charly and the boys were coming with me, but also we were taking the grandparents. So my mom and Charly's parents were coming along, and we were going to leave on Friday at noon. And sadly, on Wednesday evening, my husband Charly, he was playing football with his mates, and he fell and he injured his foot, and he fractured one of his foot bones. So on Thursday we went to the doctor, and he confirmed that Charly had a fracture and that he couldn't walk. He needed to wear a boot, a rigid boot. I don't know how you call that. And so you know what that means, that Charly couldn't drive. He couldn't, no one can drive with wearing one of those. And we were a bit distressed by the situation. I think we would have cancelled the trip if it wasn't that I had to be in Uruguay to teach, and I couldn't cancel that class. Otherwise, I think that we were so sad that we would have completely canceled the trip to Uruguay. But we tried to cheer up, and Charly was a bit wary of me driving to Uruguay on my own. He didn't want to leave me alone, so we decided he would come with us, and our parents decided they would come too, and turns out we did the whole trip, and it was a beautiful weekend. It was a beautiful trip in Uruguay. I did all the driving. I have driven before, like I obviously drive here in the city, but I have driven on the road, like on the routes, but not with my husband next to me, because he usually prefers to be the one who drives. And so it was something completely new for us, the fact that I was the one driving and the one behind the wheel, and he was the co-pilot, like checking the maps and helping us find our way, and you know, handling me money when there were tolls and all of those things. So yes, Charly is doing better now. We estimate that Charly needs to be with his walker boot for about a month, which sadly means that possibly he might not be able to ski with us this year. But I suppose there are worse things to go through, and he's really taking it with a lot of sense of humor, and we are all trying to not to think too much about it, so that's that. And okay, so that was a bit of personal life, and let's talk about some knitting. So I'm going to show you first the only 2 works in progress that I have. I have 2 finished objects to show you today. I haven't made a lot of progress on the yellow cardigan, so I'm going to show it to you again just in case you didn't see it, but it's basically only a couple of rows longer here than it was last week. This is a boxy style cardigan to wear over dresses, and I'm using 2 yarns of the same company in the same colorway called Yellow Brick Road, and the yarns are Mohair silk and Merino singles, both by Aimee, the French company owned by my friend Aimee. And I really truly love these yarns together. I've been working on another project, but I finished that, so now I'm going to focus a bit on making progress on this cardigan this week. The other work in progress that I have is last week I showed you my Galliano socks that I had finished, and I didn't have any new socks on the needles, and I've been thinking of starting a new sock design. Sorry, but I didn't have anything specific in mind, and I wanted to bring something to knit while I was away. To be honest, I thought I was going to be knitting a lot during the weekend. I thought I was going to be riding on the passenger seat and just giving my husband some advice and road information, and yeah, I think I drove about 2,000 kilometers during the weekend, and I knit 0 kilometers of yarn. My knitting during the trip was next to 0. I had prepared a lot of things to bring with me and to make progress on, but I didn't knit almost anything. Anyway, one of the things that I had packed was a bag with leftovers of sock yarn. You can see all of my little balls here. And I decided to start a simple pair of Scrappy socks. So I used a 1x1 rib for the cuff, and I'm using a 2x1 rib for the sock. I already talked about how my ribbing is always very uneven, and I haven't found any technique that really makes it better. I tried all of the tips that everyone gave me, and it just doesn't work. My ribbing is like that. It's a bit wild, and it definitely becomes a lot more even when I block the socks. But while I'm knitting them, my socks look like a child made them. But that's okay. I have come to... I am friends with this reality now. I'm doing a heel flap, and I'm going to do a regular gusset, and yeah, I'm using 60 stitches. They look small, and I was a bit concerned about that. 60 stitches is my usual stitch count for socks on 2.25 millimeter needles, but I was a bit concerned. They look small, but it's just because the stitch pattern is an all over ribbing, but when you, like, if you see, they are quite stretchy, and they're not so tight on my hand, so they should go up my leg perfectly. And I'm not making them too long because I don't know, I just wanted to make them a bit shorter. So the yarns that I used so far are, this is Suburban Stitcher. That's the only one that was a mini skein, and that's, so therefore it's the only one that has a tiny tag. And this is sock, Suburban Stitcher sock, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and the color is called Get a Move On. And I think I got this mini skein probably at one of the swag bags in one of the retreats I was. It could have been the Knit for Fun retreat in Canada last year, but I'm pretty sure Diane supports a lot of events with mini skeins, so that's probably where it came from. And then the black, I think it was leftovers from my starting point, so that might be the uncommon thread, something. And then the green is by Life in the Long Grass. It's the same yarn that I use for my beach grass socks. It's the one that I'm using now. This green is just utterly perfect. And then I have prepared to use later, I have leftovers from the shawl that I'm going to show you, one of my finished objects, Life in the Long Grass 2. And this is Ancient Arts, BFL, something Dalmatian probably, and the skein yarn from my 2-color socks with some sparkle in it. So that's what I have. I'm seeing that the remaining colors for the foot are all very pale, so I might grab something darker to mix them up a bit. Yeah, so this is my Scrappy sock, my easy purse project, and this is my larger project. Then I am also working on a new project that I cannot show you, but it's a project where it's for a company. What can I tell you? It's for a company, and it will come out in December. And it uses a lot of different yarns. I think that's the idea, that I use different companies and different colors. So I'm having fun with that. It's changing yarn and base and company all the time. So that's keeping me entertained all the time. And I'm trying to weigh the amount of grams I use for each stage of the design, so that's fun. But I'm also I've been trying to not commit to do any more collaborations during this time, so that I can work on my own designs, and I've been ticking out boxes, and I'm very, very close to being done with all my commitments. Like, so I have this project that I'm working on to finish, and then I have 2 more designs for Interpretations Book 6 to work on, and then that's it, I'm free. And I really want to knit some of my stash, and I want to focus on, I don't know, building a bigger project to work on during the remaining part of this year and maybe next year. I've been thinking that I might, one of the things that I've wanted to do for a long time is to do kits for something that I need out of Argentine yarn. So we have a lot of local yarn stores here in Argentina that don't sell internationally, and their yarns are not labeled properly, and there's not a lot of information regarding yardage or content, but I know some of these yarn stores, and I know that I can get that information available. So one of the things that I would like to do is perhaps one day design something with one of these local yarns and tag the yarn properly and sell it myself, or have my husband or my children involved, and we could ship all of those kits abroad. But I don't know, this is an idea. I don't even have time to pack yarn, but this is something that I've always wanted to do, send everyone a piece of our local products, our local tradition. So I don't know, perhaps if I have more time after finishing all these designs, I can give it a proper thought. And that's that. So what else? I have 2 finished objects to show you. The first one is I finished my brioche cowl that I had started last week, and I finished it last night. I was hurrying up so that I could show you. I'm very proud of it. This is my first brioche project, and it's very big, and I enjoyed it very much. So, and I think I'm going to wear it a lot, but I also think that my kids can wear it, my husband can wear it. I think it might be a bit longer, like wider than the pattern specified. I didn't make a swatch, but I think it might go over my head another time. I'm not going to attempt that just in case it doesn't work. But yeah, I'm very happy with my brioche cowl and the fact that it's so warm and cozy. This pattern is called Gina's brioche cowl, and it's a free pattern by Pearl Soho, and you can find it on their website, but you can also look for it on Ravelry, and you will find it very easily. I'm gonna add a link to the show notes. The show notes, if you're watching on the TV, I don't think that you can access the show notes, but if you go to a web browser, or if you use the YouTube app on either your phone or your tablet, they are below the video. So if you scroll down, you will see my comments on the video, and in that box you will find all the show notes with some links to the things that I talk about. And yes, so the pattern is brilliant. It's very short, but it has all the information you need to work the pattern perfectly. I haven't blogged it. Of course, my tension is similar to my sock tension, so I cannot say that my stitches look perfect, but given that it's my first attempt at brioche, I'm quite proud of it. So what did I use? I used 1 skein of the gray yarn, but 1 skein one big skein. So one skein is 200 grams of worsted weight yarn. The gray skein is Studio Sport, studio worsted by Neighborhood Fiber Company, and the colorway is Charles Center. And then the blue yarn, you can see it better on this side of the knitting. The blue yarn is a teal, beautiful deep teal blue. And this is Malabrigo Rios yarn. I use 2 skeins of this because you need 200 grams. And the colorway is called Azul Profundo, which means deep blue. I highly recommend this pattern. If you are afraid of brioche, don't be. I was very afraid of it, and seriously, it's no big deal. At least this pattern is no big deal. I need to keep learning brioche. I'm going to attempt. I have planned to learn different things of brioche. So I think that the fact that this was 2 colors and in the round made it super easy. You really have nothing to be worried about. I think that it just made it easier for me to pick a pattern and do what the pattern told me to do before, instead of trying to understand the written explanation of what brioche stitch is. I just took the pattern and read what the stitch was like, and I just did what the pattern said. And after the first round or second round, I could see what was going on, and I kept trying. So don't be afraid. It was really, really fun, and it's very squishy, and I really like it. But I would recommend starting with something in the round and in 2 colors. Then my next brioche step would be to learn how to do it flat. I know that the steps are perhaps a bit different if you do it back and forth. So my plan is to find a pattern where there's a bit of back and forth brioche, and also perhaps learning how to do increases and decreases. But I am in no rush to learn that. I'm already happy that I learned to do brioche, and I'm not scared of it anymore. Now I can tackle brioche, no problem. And yes, so that's my first finished object. And the next finished object is my shawl. My fade crescent shawl. I haven't woven in the ends, but that's okay. I'm going to show you probably this shawl again after I finish the pattern, but it's humongous and I adore it. And it's finished, and I really, really, really like it. And I love the colors. They make me very happy. Okay, so that's the whole shawl. I use 4 colors, and on this side of the shawl you can see all the colors fading into each other. So this is the faded end of the shawl. You can see how it looks like on this side. And to the other side of the center of the crescent, the colors end in big blocks of colors. So you have the purple block, the magenta block, the pink block, and the white block. And I just love that feature of this design. Its wedges going to one side and to the other side. I think you can see it very clearly, and it's super easy, super easy and fun. And you can do a fade like I did, so from a pale color to a dark color, or you could do just any four colors. You do need 4 skeins of 4 different colors, but you don't need full skeins of all the colors. You need full skeins of this color and this color, but then you need half a skein of the pink and just maybe like quarter skein of the white. And the pattern, we're already test knitting it. My test knitters are great. I am not. I have to work on some corrections to that draft after I finish recording this, but they're better than I am, and I think they already figured out how to work it out without me. So those are my two finished objects. I'm going to stop the video for a second because I want to go get my featured pattern of today. Okay, I'm back and I'm wearing this week's featured pattern, my newest release called the Cathedral Wrap. And last week I told you that we had been photo shooting this wrap and it came out on Thursday, so a week ago, and I hope you guys saw that and liked it. I've been working on this wrap in several journals. I showed you all the progress, but just in case you never saw it before, Cathedral Wrap is a really beautiful, delicate rectangular wrap. It's working two identical pieces that are connected in the middle. So you work towards the center from one end and from the other end also towards the center, and then you graft all the stitches here in the center in pattern. The seam is here. It's not 100% seamless, but you have to look for the seam to see it. It looks it's very concealed. And yeah, I just adore this wrap. It's so light and drapey, and the yarn that I used was designed for me. This is Lorna's Lace's shepherd sock yarn. The colorway is called Cathedral. It's a very delicate gray with a hint of purple, and it has black and gray speckles, and I just think it's so understated and just classic. It's just a really, really beautiful color to use for a wrap, because it's gray, but it also has something else going on. It's not just a gray wrap. And yeah, so I know that this is a new colorway for Lorna's Laces. They were launching it at TNA last weekend, and Lorna's Laces doesn't sell directly to the public, but this color should be on any yarn store that carries their yarn, so you can check with your yarn store if they have it. If you like it, I can definitely recommend it. I liked the yarn when I was knitting it, but after blocking it, I became fascinated with the yarn. It's really great yarn for shawls and wraps and lace, and it looks like it's very durable. It was a pleasure to block it. I could stretch the wrap without fear of breaking any fibers, and it has some kind of sheen to it, and also it's very drapey. It's very, very drapey. I used 2.5 skeins, so you should buy 3 if you're using this same yarn, or you can use 3 skeins of your favorite fingering weight yarn. So thank you all who purchased this pattern. I hope you enjoy it, and if you haven't purchased, I hope you still like it. And yeah, it's the Cathedral Wrap, this week's featured pattern. What else? I keep checking my notes today. You can tell I'm very, very tired. Okay, so still onto knitting theme, I wanted to tell you about Expolana. Expolana is a new event taking place in Uruguay every year. This was the 2nd edition, and It was held in a beautiful industrial building in the city center of Montevideo, capital of Uruguay. And I taught a class there, my first workshop ever in Spanish. The drive from Buenos Aires to Montevideo, for anyone interested, is about 750 kilometers, so about 500 miles. And it's a beautiful drive. It's really quiet, and it's through rural areas, and it was really nice to get there. I was just a bit tired the morning that I was teaching because I had done the driving and I'm not used to it, but it was great. I didn't know what to expect. As for my group of students, I was very nervous and a bit scared, wondering what my students' expectations were, and I think I'm very aware of what English-speaking knitters want or come for when I teach a class, but I didn't know what my students would want from me during that workshop, and I had the best time. The students were very warm, and I always say that in Argentina and Uruguay and lots of Latin American countries, whenever you greet someone, you kiss this person, even if it's the first time that you meet this person, you kiss. And it was heartwarming for me to come to Uruguay and have my students come and kiss me before my class. That was very nice. And yes, some of my students had no idea who I was, and they had never knitted in the round, or they had never knitted a sweater from the top down. So a lot of my class materials are based on my designs and the way that I write, and so this was completely new for them, and I thought they would be frustrated or perplexed, but they were very happy. They were like, oh no, I need to go home and I need to do a lot of research, and many of them had no idea what Ravelry was and how to use it, or a couple of my students had never heard of what a short row is. So it was refreshing, heartwarming, intimidating, and fantastic, all in the same class. I had a great time teaching in Expolana. I'm definitely encouraged to keep teaching in Spanish. I hope my students enjoyed my class. If you took my class, and if you're watching this, gracias por venir. And yeah, so that's it. The event was not only classes, there was a marketplace, beautiful marketplace. I did a live video on Instagram, and I tried to save that video to show here in the journal, but Instagram wouldn't let me do that. So I have no footage of the show, but it was really great. And there were many vendors, and there was a lot of rustic yarns and locally produced artisan-made items, but also there were Uruguay's top 2 yarn brands who had a booth there. So Manos del Uruguay was there, and Malabrigo was there too. Malabrigo had a very small booth, and they didn't have a lot of yarn there, so I didn't get any of their products. But Manos people had set aside a package for me with some samples for new products that they have upcoming, and also I got to pick up a few skeins that I personally liked, and I got that. It was a beautiful booth that they had put together. They had all of their yarn bases and a lot of colors and kits, and it was really great. So I have some goodies here that I wanted to show to you. I don't get to show you things that I get so often, so I thought it was nice for the journal too, to bring you some goodies to show you from Uruguay. So first of all, I'm going to show you yarns that Manos del Uruguay already has in the market that I picked because I just like them. So I brought them home with me. I got these two skeins that go very well together. Let's see. Okay, yeah, this is a better representation of the colors. This is FINO. It's a beautiful, amazing base. I have used FINO. I don't think I have used FINO yet for any designs, but this is a beautiful yarn. Oh yes, I use FINO for baby little boxy sweater design. Okay, so this is FINO, 70% wool, 30% silk, and it's a fingering weight skein yarn. Sorry, 490 yards in 100 gram skein, so it's a light fingering. And the colorway is called Promenade. And this colorway, a dusty pink, beautiful, like take a look on its own, it's perfect. This color is called Rosewater. So I like these two very much, and I got them home. I also brought two skeins of Clara. I thought this color was so fun. I have no plans for any of these yarns, but I really like this sort of variegated slash speckled. This is Clara, and this is 100% Merino superwash, 385 yards, so this is a much heavier weight than the FINO, and so it's 385 yards in 100 grams. The colorway is called Midas, Midas, Midas. And then I brought also these two skeins of perfectly gray. This is a very popular base from Manos. It's called Alegria. Alegria, for those who don't know, means happiness. And this is 75% wool, 25% polyamide or nylon. So it's a sock yarn, but you know that I use sock yarn for anything. And it's 445 yards in 100 grams. These are not exactly the same, so I will have to alternate skeins. I think this one is lighter. And the colorway is called Kohl, Kohn. And then I brought these two beautiful, very yellow skeins of a chunky or super bulky weight yarn. This is Franca by Manos, and the colorway is called Limón, which means lemon. So Franca in Limón, this would be a great wintry cowl. Yeah, I might design something very easy and quick with this yellow. I'm in a yellow kick right now. And then the girls from Manos sent me some yarns that they wanted to show me, and I don't know when these yarns are coming out, but I wanted to share them with you too. So this yarn is called Feliz, which means happy. and the colorway is called Wildflowers, and this is 75% merino, 30% modal. And I had never tried a yarn with modal before. I suspect that it could be very good for socks, and that's what I plan to use my yarn for. This is 350 yards in 100 gram skeins. So this would be a heavy fingering weight, which is something that I prefer when I make my socks. I like my socks to be a bit more, to be a bit thicker than usual. I like sport weight yarn with smaller needles because I like my socks to be dense. I also feel that they last longer that way. So I think this could be a really good sock yarn, and I hope that I can review it properly by casting on a pair of socks soon. I have 2 skeins in this color, and I have 1 skein in this other color. It's called Provence, of course, lavender. Yeah, so I might use this for a pair of socks, and I might save this for a giveaway sometime. That would be nice. And lastly, they also gave me 4 skeins. They are so nice. These are 25 gram skeins, so they're very tiny. This is only 100 grams of the yarn, and this is called Cabrito. Cabrito? There you go. Cabrito. And Cabrito means little goat. And this is 80% mohair, 20% polyamide. And I have to double check the meterage with them because this says that it has 110 meters per 250 grams skein, which is not possible. I also wonder if it's really 110 meters or if it's more than that, because other mohairs that I've used are lace weight, and this meterage it corresponds with a fingering weight. So I'm going to double check this with them, because since this yarn hasn't come out yet, they might have, like, the tags might just be a draft. But I wanted to give you guys the heads up. Manos is working on a mohair yarn that is probably coming out soon. If they gave it to me, it means that the yarn is already developed and it's ready to come to the stores soon. And also the colorway that they sent me, beautiful gray, is called Marble. And as I was taking all of that yarn off the shelf, I found another finished object that I didn't show you. So this is the toe of a sock, sort of like a, I call it a toe cap, and it's something that I made for Charly to wear with his walker boot because his toes get very cold when he's not wearing the shoes out. So instead of making him a whole sock, which would make it would feel bulky with the walking boot, I just made him a cap for his toes. So this it's basically 48 stitches and a section of ribbing, and then I worked the toe as you would for any sock, and I grafted the stitches here. And of course I used cashmere because I wanted to make him something special, because he was a very good patient. So the next thing we have to do is I have another giveaway for you. Let's see, I have the prize somewhere here. Okay, here it is. So last week we had picked a winner for the fading point knit along. The end date was supposed to be June 12th, but I made a mistake and I told everyone that it was June 16th, and then I decided to extend it to June 16th, and then I just couldn't manage to close the thread while I was traveling, and so I kept the thread open until this moment. And so I just closed the thread. I told everyone that I was going to draw the prize. So we're ready to draw another prize for everyone who joined or entered the FO prize thread after June 12th. And all of the ones that everyone who joined before June 12th is obviously counted towards this giveaway too. So the prize is this beautiful bag by a beautiful sister, and it's a knit as you go bag that you can carry like this, or you can tie if you want to keep it closed, and also 2 skeins of Nature's Luxury La Parisienne in colorways Buddha Bar and Blue Elephant. This is 100% wool, and it's a fingering weight 460 meters in 100 grams. So you get 2 skeins. You can make any 2 color shawls that you like, and you get a beautiful matching bag to put your project inside. So let's see, just a second. I'm going to see how many posts we have. Let's see, let's go to the last page. I think I'm going to have to stop. Okay, I had to go to Ravelry and check. We have 228 posts on that thread, and the first and last posts are mine. So we have 227 entries, and so 226 from number 2 to 227. And the result is 110. The winner would be, let's see, 110. Let's see if it's a proper post or someone's comment. And in that case, we need to draw a new number. Yes, it's a finished object. So the winner is SGH and she says, finished and loving it. It will be my airplane blanket. And she made a beautiful, beautiful fading point, fading from navy blue into beige. I love it. Thank you so much. I will write both winners today and get their prizes their way. I need to go to the mail on Monday. Thank you everyone so much for participating in that knit along, and I hope you guys enjoyed the prizes that came from my own stash, which makes me super happy to send something from me to you, and I hope we can have more of this soon. So shall we move on to sewing? Let me turn on the lights. It will get darker soon. Let's see, what are my notes? Yes, so I was trying not to sew so much. I had to finish some work, and sewing was very distracting for me, so I tried to stay away from my sewing machine for a week, and that really helped me focus and make me feel better about my work. And yeah, so up to a couple of days ago I hadn't done any new sewing projects, but as you know, or not, the FIFA World Cup is going on, and I'm devastated with my country's team performance. But Argentina played their second match on Thursday, and I had been wanting to sew again. I had been thinking about a ton of projects that I wanted to make, and I decided to make a top, that top over there in Argentina's national color, pale, like sky blue is our national color. So I hurried up and I wore that to watch the game. I was alone at home with my Argentine color top, and Argentina lost. Like, it was seriously the worst match ever Argentina played. And so I cannot say it's a lucky charm for our national team, but I really, really like the top. So I'm going to tell you more. It's a boxy top, and here it is. So this fabric was white, and I had purchased this fabric to use as lining for anything. And this fabric was purchased when I was just discovering sewing, and I would purchase just any fabric to have in my stash. But then I discovered that for every project I probably would want to use a specific lining, and actually this fabric hadn't been suitable for anything so far. So another thing that I had purchased is a tin of Dillon dye in the colorway navy blue. And I decided to dye this fabric navy to use sometime. Perhaps if the color was a bit more appealing, I would want to use it for something. So I thought, okay, and I might as well learn how to dye fabric while I do that. Well, I don't know what I learned and what I didn't. I think that the fabric might not have been the best material for dyeing. Perhaps this is mostly polyester, and therefore the navy blue was this sky blue in the end. And also the color, it doesn't show in the screen, but it's very patchy and it's not even though I stirred the fabric for a whole half hour all the time. It still came out a bit uneven, so I don't think I want to do that anytime soon again. It was a lot of work. Actually, the dye costs more than the fabric, and it just doesn't make sense because I can't predict what color my fabric will end up looking like. I dyed another fabric that same day in a golden yellow that looks like a very pale yellowy orange. It's not bad, but it's not a color that I would want to wear. Anyway, I ended up with this sheet of sky blue fabric, and I didn't know what to do. So I've been wanting to make this top pattern for a long time, and of course this fabric was very cheap, and I thought I can make a muslin and to try out the pattern and see if I like the shape and have this national color. Oops, sorry about that. Have this national color top for the match. The top is very simple to make. The only special thing about the pattern is this detail on the sleeves. It's on both sleeves, and it's just a gathered detail. It's just a gathered band of fabric, and otherwise it's very easy to make. It took very little time, and I think I want to make it again in a nicer fabric, probably something with a bit more drape and something, perhaps some kind of silk would look nice in this top, but I'm very happy with the result, even though it's very boxy. So the pattern came out of this book called Canas Standard. I looked it up before recording and I found it on Amazon, so I included a link if you want to go take a look there. And the top that I made is this one, precisely on the cover. And I really like the color that the model is wearing, and I think that something with some silk or like a shantung could look really classy, but also like a black satin looking thing, something dressy, could also make for a very nice going out kind of top. I have been putting on some weight lately. I've been feeling a bit self-conscious about wearing tighter clothes, so boxy tops actually is what I look for every time I dress up in the morning. So this could be something that I gravitate towards quite often. The pattern is the AA. The pattern is the AA, and same as with a lot of the Japanese books that I have, each model, each pattern is based on a same shape. So the shape is A, and then the view or the variation is the lowercase a. And this same shape has, for example, this variation, beautiful tunic dress, boxy tunic dress, longer, and this version has a belt. It's a long version with a belt. Well, there are several variations, and there are other pretty patterns that I would love to make, but I'm not sure that they might fit. So these pants I really like. This is a style that I wear a lot, but as I have mentioned before, I don't think that I fit the size 15, which is the largest size for pants in this book. So I might try muslin with a cheap fabric and see how I feel about it, or I might try to expand the pattern if I feel adventurous. There's this cute reversible skirt that looks very nice. I don't wear this type of skirts, but it looks very nice. And one thing that I would wear probably is this sort of like cardigan jacket thing. I could probably see myself wearing that. And yeah, so the instructions, as always, they are presented like this in schematics with the drawing of what you have to do for each of the steps. If you have any doubts, I use my Google Translate app. I take a photo of the book and then I highlight the section that I want to translate, and with the Google app I can find out what it says. So thank you, Julie, who gifted me this book. I love it. I hope I can make something else out of this book soon. It's really, really, but the top in the cover it was my favorite design, and I really, really like the way my muslin came out, and I think I'll wear it. I think I'll wear it again. You can see a photo of this on me in my Instagram sewing account. It's called Joji Sews. And then I didn't sew a lot more, but I was so stressed with the trip and all of this traveling going on that I felt so bad. I only realized that we were going to spend Father's Day in Uruguay as I was driving to Uruguay. We don't pay attention to these things. Charly and I are not huge giving gifts and to each other. I'm huge giving gifts to everyone else, but not Charly and I are not. So we don't care that much about gifting each other things, but I felt terrible that I couldn't make anything for him for Father's Day. And I couldn't buy anything while I was out, and yeah, it was a good Father's Day, but we didn't have any gift for Charly. So when we came home, I was with my sewing machine, and I'm trying to also use up a lot of the fabric that I had purchased during my first steps with sewing. So I decided to make Charly some tablecloths that we need for the home, but I made them for Charly, and I stamped them. So I bought, okay, this one looks a bit better. I bought the stencils for these industrial looking letters, and I bought two sets, the bigger and the smaller ones. And this is my family's last name, Barros and Sons. So this is Barros and Sons in Spanish, and it's like a stamp for Charly and his boys. And I made him two of those. And I kind of like that the letters came out kind of wrong because it looks more spontaneous, like someone stamped this. So these are tablecloths for our home in white linen, and we will use them whenever Charly makes barbecue for us. This one is big enough for our regular table, and this one is the expansion for whenever we open up the table for more people, and everyone who sits on our table will know that they're at Barros and Sons table. And Charly really liked the idea, and he requested that I also make him an apron for those times when he makes a barbecue. So instead of using white linen, which is very dirty, and also I don't have any more of this, I'm going to make him a black apron, and I'm going to stamp the letters in white as he requested. And nothing makes me happier than to surprise my husband and that he asks for more of it. What else? Yeah, so I think that's it for this journal. I had a ton to share with you, as you could see. I hope I can catch up with you next weekend. I'm trying to go back to working out. I used to be very regular at it and very I never liked to work out. I really don't enjoy exercise and sweating and being agitated. I never did, not growing up, and I still don't do it. But a few years ago I started working out regularly, and for some years I was very patient and consistent, and I have a very good trainer that gathered a group of moms, and we all trained together, and I was having a really good time. And then that group sort of fell apart, and I signed up at a local gym last year, but honestly I never go there. I don't enjoy being inside and working out inside. It's just not for me. So yesterday I contacted this teacher again, and I told her that I really wanted to get back to working out and get back into shape and get back to jogging a bit. So hopefully next weekend I can give you a report on that. Wish me luck. I really want to like it again and to feel good with some exercise. My body really needs it, and I need to get back into shape real bad. And I'm excited that I took the first step towards doing that. And yeah, so that's that for this week. I hope to see you next one, and thanks for watching. Bye.